Oh, man.
Bearcat Hoop. I usually lead this with audio series because I think I've done an audio series. Bridge, you and Kyle came on the audio series with the Where Are You Now? Bubs, you were right next to me, so I didn't have to do a Where Are You Now? We'll have to get you on one coming up. But we're in the middle. It's March 30th, 2020, the year from hell. Most of us are calling it. We're in the middle of, unfortunately, the COVID-19 scare. I was lucky enough to reconnect with three of the leaders from our 2014-15 NWC semifinal playoff team. And our original plan was to get on this Zoom with Kyle McNally, Bridger Harlington, and Bubba Luedtke to talk about their win and watch the game on Zoom when we beat Pacific at home on senior night to get in. It was a winner advances, loser goes home game. Coach Kip, being the idiot I can be sometimes, lost the DVD of said game. And yeah, I said DVD because back in 2014-15, we weren't on Synergy yet. So we were still exchanging DVDs, and I messed that up. So they were gracious enough to still come on here. We're taping this. We'll put it up on YouTube. I've got so many images and still shots. We're turning it into a kind of a 5-year celebration of this team that made the NWC tournament. Had that memorable game, a lot of memorable moments, and we're just going to film each other talking and reminiscing, and I think it'll be great content. So, fellas, from top to bottom on my screen, I've got in gallery view, Kyle, Bridge, Bubs, in order. Reintroduce yourselves and quick snippet. How are you during Corona? Where are you at? Is everybody healthy and safe in your neck of the woods? Kyle.
Good. We're still good. I'm letting the hair's growing out. I was a month overdue for a haircut when we were told to stay in. I mean, we've been told to stay inside down in Orange County since last Sunday, I think. So going on over 2 weeks now, actually, I think.
Holy cow.
We've been inside for almost 2 weeks now. Now we're going outside, going to the store, doing the whole thing, but we're just in here hanging out.
Got Bridge.
Yeah, what's up? Bridger Harlington, day 14 of my quarantine so far. Yeah, doing good. We're healthy and happy, just social distancing with my fiance Rachel at the house, man. That's all.
And you're in the kind of one of the epicenters, Bridge.
Man, so I actually work in Kirkland, which is where that what is the elderly home?
Yeah.
That we registered the first case and the first death, at least in our area. That's about 3 minutes from my office.
Oh man!
So it was wild. I've probably been working from home since end of February. So that feels like a quarantine, but actually staying at home, social distancing for probably I think today was day 14. Which is
oh my gosh! Buzz,
man.
Yeah, Bubba Luedtke, like Kip said, I didn't stray too far. So over in Kaiser, still nearby. Everybody's healthy, luckily, and fortunately, I haven't had anybody, in my circle who's been affected by it yet. So, I'm lucky there. But yeah, staying at home, working remote. I don't think we're at day 14. I think it's been about a week now. Mm-hmm. So,
gotcha.
Still adjusting, but
I'm lucky, fellas. The elementary school is right across the street from our house. So we do have a park and there's a dirt track that I can go out there and jog around and pretend I'm sweating. But they've got police caution tape all over the playground there. So for Xavier, my 7-year-old, that was no, Dad, what is this shit? I don't agree with what's happening. But we said, dude, you got to get out of there. And I will say when I'm jogging and I see somebody on the track, we both kind of give the head nod, but we separate. And then we go back in. Right.
See people outside, even people in my apartment complex. If you go out and walk to your car, if you're on a dead line with somebody, somebody stops and you move out of the way of each other and you go your separate ways. It's weird.
It is. It's a scary, scary time. Glad to hear everyone's family and loved ones are okay. Obviously, thoughts with everybody out there that's been affected, and we're going to be in this for a while. So this is going to be fun, I think. So taking a look at this picture, first of all, fellas, when was the last time you saw this team photo? I had to go digging. My first thoughts right away, why is Willis in shorts? And why did Mac not get the black pants memo? That's my first thoughts, but you guys go ahead.
Yeah.
My first thought is Nico looks like he's been photoshopped in.
Way over there.
An assassin halfway through the season to come join the team, and that was the best.
Right? I can't remember if Chris Sabato took this photo or Naomi Stuckey took this photo. Somebody needed to tell Mike from LA to scoot his ass in. That is for sure. Other thoughts from this team, from just seeing the faces in the pieces.
Man, we look so young. That's crazy.
You know what I just noticed, and he's going to be pissed off when he watches it. Joe Jackson's not in the damn picture.
Where is he?
I don't know.
I don't see Bridge either. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, Bridge is
Good.
Joe Bridge is already posing perfectly. Him and B. You didn't get the cross hands memo.
Hey, man. At least I figured out the haircut thing a little bit too late, on my way out of college. But jeez Louise, man.
Oh, man. So the roster here, Kyle, Gibby, Joe Jackson, who's not pictured, and T. Smith, seniors on the team.
Technically, was a senior.
What's that?
I said technically Alex was a senior.
Yeah. AB was hurt. Wait, he got hurt on the Colorado trip? Is that right?
Yeah.
Versus the kid from Dubuque that just kept dunking on every possession?
Was that it? Was that when it happened?
I think so. God, you know what we should do? We should start the story of this team in Costa Rica.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's really where it started.
That's where
right?
So
the season before this was a real struggle. We had Bubba playing point guard. He did a valiant effort playing point guard. We didn't win a lot of games
at one point.
We didn't win a lot of games, but the best thing we ever did was we took this group without the freshmen. So Brendan, Nico, Casey, Dylan, and Conan did not accompany us to Costa Rica, but the rest of us went down there and played 5 games, had an amazing experience. I mean, you guys can describe it a little bit. Go ahead. Things we did, benefits of it.
I mean, it was pretty cool. I think the coolest part, I mean, it wasn't all roses. We were driving around in a bus, like going from one coast of the country to the other coast of the country.
Favorite part.
But I mean, it was a lot of cool memories. We played against a lot of high talent. We ran camps actually. We ran little youth. I can't remember if we did it once or twice, but that was pretty cool to like have an impact on the local kids in the area. I thought that was really fun. Learned a lot of Spanish.
Are we not going to talk about Game 5? There's a brawl on the court, man. That was awesome.
Go ahead, Bridge. Go ahead. So Josh Erickson, beyond study abroad, through my brother-in-law Josh Erickson, Grant Leslie, both Willamette alums, football, basketball. Josh was coaching a team down there at the time, and was it Game 5 of the title series?
This is the last play out of 5. No, we got to go to we played them, right? Or was it after?
Yeah, we played them the next day, unfortunately.
Yeah, we played them after, but Game 5, series final. I think it was 2-2. It must have been if it was Game 5. And it was just like, it was packed. And they in Costa Rica, you can use the noisemakers in the game. So, like, it was loud. They had the horns. It was crazy. And I don't remember how it started. You guys remember how it started?
Well, there was a buzzer beater from the other team.
Yeah.
Right? Unfortunately for Josh and the team we were all cheering for. I don't know who threw the first punch, but it was tense. That's probably an understatement. Bubs?
It was tense.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I think one of the players on Josh's team was talking to a family member, and then when that happens, things get all heated. But it was one of the coolest games I've seen live. With good talent, the atmosphere was great. But I think the best part about that team in general was that we got to play him the next night, and I think Bridger should talk about his experience.
Bridge, there were some free throws there to tie. I think we could have won or tied on your free throws.
I had to make all 3 to tie, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I blacked this out of my memory. I don't really remember what happened.
Yeah, can we? You tell it, Bubs.
So I think we were down 3. We were playing the team that just lost in the finals the day before, Josh's team.
Who was really good.
They're really good.
Yeah, they were a good team. They had a stud out of I forget the guy's name, out of VCU. And it was good atmosphere. It was a high intensity game, but it was casual at the same time. And really at the end of the game, it got pretty tight. And Bridger I think got fouled on a 3 with.
No way.
He was
Bridger
like,
got fouled on a 3? Did he
Drew
fall
a
down?
foul on
You're
the
kidding
3.
me.
right?
Drew a foul.
Down 3, I think we had, I don't know, it was either time was run out or, a couple seconds. He made the first 2, I want to say.
I think he did. Yeah.
The stud from VCU at that point walked up to the free throw line, started talking to Bridger. I don't know what was said. Who knows if Bridger remembers what was said.
I do remember what he said to me.
But
he said, "Don't leave it short." He said, "Don't leave it short."
The ball didn't go in. I don't know if you left it short or not, but
it didn't go in.
Anyway, that was a lot of fun to play in. It was a great experience. And even though Bridger missed a free throw at the end, I think he was a big reason that we were there in the first place. So.
And I think we went 3-2 down there, or 4-1, something like that down there.
We lost to them, and we lost to the Olympic team.
That's right.
We beat everybody else.
That's when AB got hurt the first time. You guys
his shoulder by some monster of a man on their under-23 team.
Yeah, that's when it all started for him.
So we go down there. I feel like it's a launch pad into the season. The league didn't expect a lot out of us. They probably picked us last or second to last, somewhere in there. We come up with it. I'm going to stop this share, fellas, and show you another one that you will enjoy. Let me get it over here as I go. That I think your group did a great job. I give you guys as leaders of that group a lot of the credit for buying into, and let me get the share back for you guys here, buying into kind of a team motto in a way we were going to go about things, and that was strike the rock. So you can see here, and I got to give Coach Willis, I'm going to give Greg Popovich the credit for strike the rock, but Coach Willis the credit for bringing it to us as, hey, this could be something that we really buy into and go about doing. So Kyle or somebody, you guys explain it. Because that was us all year.
I mean, especially for me, it being my senior year, it was Bridger and Bubba's junior year. So, I mean, we didn't exactly have the best 2 to 3 years before that, but we were still there, and we knew that, a culture change needed to happen. And we knew that, especially because we had so many freshmen, like we needed to find a way to not only give ourselves a good year, but give something for those guys to build on. And so I think we just kept going and going and going and going and going. I mean, we lost dudes along the way. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially Bridger and Bubba's class. But how many guys were in your graduating class? Just you 2?
3, including AB.
Yeah. And you came in as 7.
I mean, so we were the ones that stuck with it, and it put a chip on our shoulder. Like, let
me add this, Kyle. Let me add this. Maybe it was just me, and I know Bubba, because we had a lot of conversations. I was overly optimistic. Maybe it was our age at this point, because we lost a lot of games by 1 possession the year before, like a lot of games by 1 possession at the buzzer or at the end, and we were right there all year. It just felt like we just needed to turn the corner. And so I think we had that after Costa Rica. I think Costa Rica was us turning the corner.
And kind of to piggyback off of that, our sophomore year, all of us, we didn't really play the year before, whether that was, I think the only person that really got consistent minutes our sophomore year, or my sophomore year, Kyle's junior year, was Kyle. So, we started, I think the team before my freshman year, had a lot of talent, a lot of guys that had played, consistent minutes for a long period of time. And so, we were bringing in the year before, we were bringing in a lot of guys who had to still get their feet under them. So as we went through that sophomore year and kind of like Bridge said, even though we didn't have the greatest record, going into our junior year after Costa Rica, that team building experience, I was feeling pretty confident that, we'd be able to compete a little bit better. We were definitely, we had our chemistry built up, we brought back a lot of guys, and then, we brought in a really talented freshman class as well. So, I was feeling very similar to Bridge. I thought we had a good chance to at least be competitive in the league and, compete for a playoff spot, just because of where we were our sophomore year and then the freshman class we brought in our going into our junior year. So.
And Kyle, let me punt this one to you. I'm going to bring up the roster, fellas, from that year for us. Let me get to it here. I thought I had it, and I'll screen share it here in a minute. But we just experienced a year this year where we had another really big freshman class and a lot of freshmen playing. And we did not experience the same amount of success that you guys did, Kyle, with your senior group, navigating all these freshmen. And I'll bring it up on the screen here in a minute. How did you guys go about that? I know Bridge and AB being juniors were there in a helpful leadership way, but how did you as seniors deal with, oh my God, we got all these babies, but we kind of need them. We kind of need them to be good. How are we going to figure this out?
I mean, the cliche answer would be, I guess maybe not cliche, but like I'm into coaching now. I'm going to be into teaching. Joseph's into coaching. He's going to be into teaching. I don't know. I think we just kind of had like a bunch of seniors that had that kind of like mentorship mentality. Like I want to see these guys do well. I want to pass on what I have to these guys. And then also help that they were talented. I mean, I think T. Smith and Brendan split starting games and point guard time the whole year. I mean, Nico was big for us as a scorer, him and Bridger on the wing. So it was just kind of one of those things where we need these guys to be successful. And then, by the way, as being freshmen and somebody that's been here for 4 years, 3 years for Bridger and Bubba, it was a really good opportunity for us to kind of maybe help them, because our freshman year, we didn't have that opportunity. We didn't get that kind of playing time that they got. I mean, I got a decent amount of time my freshman year. I think Bubba got a little bit too. So it was kind of a similar situation. Maybe we saw ourselves in them, but it was just kind of a good connection, I think.
Bubs and Bridge, was there purposeful stuff you guys did off the floor? Was there different roles each of you played with the young group? Because like Kyle mentioned, B and Nico are starting. They're playing a bunch. Dylan's having to play a little bit for us. CO's having to play a little bit for us. And Bridge, that's your first year starting full-time yourself. So talk a little bit about your guys' job with the young ones and molding this group.
Well, I'm not the most patient person always. So I could have done better at that. But it's really, man, you just gotta lean into the growing pains, because that's part of it, man. Is just be there to pick people up. I know it's just those conversations after practice, giving people a little bit of encouragement. Like, hey, I saw you do this today, man. You were killing it today. Like, it's just those little things where you have those doubts, especially when you're young. You have those doubts. You don't have that self-confidence always, even if you act like you do, just because the change of pace is so much. So I think being that support system for guys, just so they know that you're there and, being that guy for them, that can make all the difference. I don't know. What do you got, Bub? I can't remember anything we did specifically. We did a lot of stuff off the court where we would invite them places, dinner, whatever it was, just come to the house.
That group, I think it helped that group was, they were low maintenance guys. They meshed really well with the rest of the team. They were locked in. They were hungry. Like, they were willing to learn. You really didn't have to push those guys to be in the gym. You didn't have to push those guys to, follow our program and take care of their schooling. They were like, they all brought that stuff coming in. So, we were fortunate to have a group of guys that wanted to come in and help our team win and do everything right in the sense of approaching their schooling. So, I think we were there for them, and, Bridger was a really good, person that they could go talk to. If they wanted to, workouts, they could always come to me, Kyle too. Everybody, we did what we could to help them, mentor them and all that good stuff. But like I said, I think that group in itself, they were just, they were not that hard to bring up to speed and to, bring into our team because of just how they approached it and their personalities and meshing with us. So.
Moving forward, if you guys, let me go back, this team, Bubs, you texted me this in the middle of our season this year, and I appreciate you trying to keep my spirits up. this year. But if you guys remember, we didn't exactly blow the doors off people to start this campaign. So if you look, I'll go through here, and if any of these games kind of stick out to you guys, like the Shriner game really sticks out to me because I had high expectations for us, and then that Shriner team came in and beat us in game 1, and it kind of felt like a deflating moment a little bit. But then I do also remember the Caltech win being a big emotional lift. So as I kind of go down through here in these first groups, go ahead. You guys talk about your memory.
For me, it was that Colorado Springs tournament, the win against Northwestern. I think that really, we had lost AB the game before. And, like you said, and Bridger and me hit it on earlier, we were pretty confident going into the year. And then we started out a little bit slow. We played some good teams too. I mean, Corbin, Shriner, Laverne, they're all, and I think Debut, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah.
And they were all good teams coming in, and they had tournament aspirations. So even though we started slow against them, we still were pretty confident in ourselves. And then we got that win against Northwestern, and I felt that that was a real point where we came together and kind of propelled us forward a little bit. But we definitely did start a little bit slow, and I think getting through that, especially after the year before, it took a little bit of time to work through that stuff.
I think that's a great point, Bubs, and Bridge and Kyle. I remember specific plays from both of you versus Northwestern, and like Bubs, you mentioned Shriner, Dubuque, and Northwestern all made the NCAA tournament in this particular year. And Dubuque blew our doors off. I know we were really low after that game, but second half, I remember, Bridger, your corner 3, because Willis is yelling. Willis is a loud dude. Knock that down, Bridge. You did. It was a big jolt. And then Kyle, if you remember, you blocked the guy at the 3-point line. And I think you dunked it on the other end, too, in the second half. And that's a team that went to the Sweet 16. So I remember those 2 plays specifically from that game.
The beginning of our year too, like we had a lot of young guys. We had a big rotation. So a lot of this too was like, I don't think I was starting the first 4 games or something like that. Hayden actually beat me for that spot. Shout out 12. But we're playing a lot of people, a lot of minutes, and figuring out who was going to do what and what was everybody's role on the team. But I think we started making turning the corner in Colorado. I remember winning that Northwestern game and it being a really clean win, decisive. We were leading the whole game. I want to say Bubba had like some crazy stat line of like 16 rebounds and 14 points, something crazy.
We could probably check that out here. We should
I don't even remember the stats in that game, in all honesty. But
17 and 12, Kyle as usual, just blocking people, boards. Bridge, you started this one, so we go here. It's pretty balanced. Let's get to December, and we can talk about, I'm trying to get a workout in the weight room, just minding my own business, trying to run on a treadmill. And suddenly the Bubba Luedtke show is crumpled in the far right corner on some power cleans or a squat. I don't remember, Bubs. But I know you went to the D3 Hoops Classic, a national tournament that's going to be broadcast across the country, and your ass is not on the plane. So go ahead.
Well, I had this brilliant idea that I wanted to put on muscle in the middle of the season. I tried to do that during Christmas break, and I got a little carried away. And like you said, I hurt my back. Ended up being out 4 games, but it started with that tournament in Vegas that you guys went to. So I ended up not going. Watched the games, but I think you guys can talk a little bit about that experience, because even though we didn't win, I think that was a real eye opener for our team in terms of the talent that we had.
I would say, and Bridge and Kyle, I want you guys to take over too. I would say I remember being at Lomax's Country Club getting a team meal, and I was like, hey, guess what? Bubba ain't going. And Lomax and Willis and Mac look at me like, say what now? We're going where? And I was like, here's what we'll do. We'll play T. Smith at the 4. It's going to be fine. Yeah. And actually, you got to give Talano a lot of credit for a guy that lost his starting point guard job to a freshman, and then Kip tells him to play the 4. That first game, he goes 11 and 3 and 5 of 7 from the line. And even though we lost on a buzzer beater, Bridge, I think you had a hand in the face. I still think you did. and he had good D. I thought that was another kind of seminal moment in terms of, you know what? We got something here. But Bridge, Kyle, you guys talk about that trip because we lost the next game by 2 as well.
I mean, for me, it was kind of like Bubba talked about with the Colorado tournament. I was extremely frustrated that whole trip because it was just kind of like this was a big opportunity for us to kind of really grab a couple wins, have a good experience, build some team bonding. I didn't like that stat line for me on that first game.
But yeah, I switched it for you.
It was really frustrating in the fact that we lost both those games and we didn't have Bubba. And the way that Bubba got hurt, it was easy to be frustrated about the whole situation. But then our freshmen kind of have like a coming out party. Talanoa has kind of like a little return to, what we needed from him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we compete in 2 games that on paper we might not have had any business competing against with the roster that we had. Right. So it was really frustrating. But then when we were coming back home from it and we were going forward, it was like, okay, if we did this without a guy that's supposed to be one of our top guys, we can really do something here going forward the rest of the year. So that's the way I felt about it.
Do you remember your dunk against Colorado College, Kyle?
I do remember. That was one of
your best ones ever. Baseline. Wasn't a baseline on somebody?
Yeah, a baseline in traffic on a couple people. It was pretty good.
If I remember correctly, the camera didn't catch it, so
shit.
I didn't see it. All the reactions. So.
Right. Oh, so Bubs, we didn't have you for the Wits at home to open conference, correct?
Well, that was the other thing. That was the other thing. You look at both those losses, and so you look at those 4 losses. And I think we talked about this a million times. I can remember having this conversation with everybody. If we have Bubba for those 4 games, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind we don't go 4-0.
Right.
I mean, I would think Bubba's worth 1 point against Wisconsin Lutheran, 2 points against Colorado College, and 10 against the Wits. I would think that would be the value he brings to our team.
Right.
But I also, to add to that, I also think that we may not have been the team later on that we were if I didn't play, or if I did play those 4 games, because, both yourself, Kyle, and Bridge, I mean, you guys both really stepped up through that tournament and again against the Wits. I mean, the freshmen played really well as well, being in Nico, but I think, if I'm remembering correctly, that's kind of where Bridge really started to turn the corner in terms of his scoring. Yeah. And then Kyle, too, became a little bit more aggressive on the offensive end. And even, like I said, even though we lost those four games, I think they carried that on as we moved on throughout the season. And they both grew into players that really helped us, get to where we ended up being because of that 4-game stretch. And not to say that wouldn't happen if I did play, but you really saw it happen, as I was watching it both from the bench and then from video when you guys were in Vegas.
Actually, a guy, I think we started Sherfy in that first game in Vegas.
Yeah, and T. Smith came off the bench, yeah.
And Sherfy ends up getting absolutely red hot later in the season and being huge for us in games and hitting huge threes later in the season. I don't know if he has that confidence to take those shots.
Right.
He doesn't start a game and start playing, because that's where he started playing like consistent, like 10 to 15 minutes a game.
Yeah.
That Puget Sound game too, Sherfy. I know we're not there yet.
I just finished year 11. This post game of us beating UPS at UPS, it was the first time in like 10 years we'd won up there. Bridge, I remember you specifically, the level of excitement we all have, but I remember you and Bubba and everybody's excitement. This is one of my favorite wins. And I think it's another one of those, every great season has one of those turning points. And this is the one. Scherf goes 4 for 6 in front of his family up there.
Yeah.
Freaking rain ball. But I think everybody had these huge moments. You look at the starters here. Bubba's back. We got 5 guys in double figures. That win up there was pretty big for us.
There's something to be said about learning how to win close games. Like it's like a learned skill at a time. And this is kind of when we made that turn where it was like we started winning these really close games, started making those like on the floor plays, those extra rebounds, those extra passes, whatever it was. This was a monumental game for us.
I mean, you look at the records. Bubs, you were right when you texted me, hey, we were 1-9. Yeah, we were 1-9 before we won this game. which is huge. And we beat Fox next. And let me get back to the schedule so you guys can see as we go. The only team that befuddled us all year, really, that I was really upset about was freaking LC. LC, like the Wits were the Wits. They both went to the tournament. They were really good, probably just a notch above us. But the LC thing was just dumbfounding to me.
You know what always bugged me most about that was Brad Carter played for Lewis and Clark, and him and I played against each other all throughout high school too, because he went to Redmond.
Yeah.
And when I was a freshman at Sprague, they were still in our league. And I always wanted to, and for some reason, all 4 years, they always got the better of us. And I never understood why.
I don't either. I got to give Denari a lot of credit. He had a better plan but then your guys' senior year, Kyle, you were gone. Your guys' senior year, we swept them, which didn't, you know what I mean? Like it's just the inverse of those things. There's a big win here at Pacific. That was a comeback win, if I remember. Bridge, I think you had a couple big plays in that one. And then in the second half of the season, some more, some other big wins as we go through. I don't remember the UPS game being that close. My God, 60-58 at home. What happened then? Do you guys remember that game?
That was always tough for us because they had they had their own Bubba.
They had Holden and what's the other guy?
Aaron Barber played well for them.
Oh, that little Barb. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of Rex Nelson from the year before.
That was
yeah. That's what I was talking about. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, now as we go through these scores, one of the things that sticks out to me is this team, your guys' team was really good defensively. And if you remember, one of the things we used to carry around with us, and when we went to certain places, I have a screenshot of these things. I don't have the picture of the actual thing, but to go with let me switch over my share here, fellas. To go with our Strike the Rock theme, Willis went to God knows what hardware store, and he bought, was it a pickaxe?
It was a pickaxe, yeah.
It was a pickaxe that he buys, and I'm going to share it now. And I loved it. We had him and I and Coach Lomax had just gotten into, hey, analytics, points per possession. Let's get out of how many points overall do we give up. Let's jump into what do we give up every time somebody touches the ball. And our goal, which now, Bubs, having been on the coaching side, was 0.7 or less, which is insanely good. It's insanely good. And if you guys take a look here, we used to tape these on padlocks to the lock stick and walk into places with the pickaxe. Do you remember?
I remember.
Oh, I remember that. Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
And we had a lot of goddamn locks on that thing. And if you look at some of these points per trip in these games, you guys were playing a hell of defense. I got to say, a lot of that is for Kyle McNally, number 4. A lot of shot blocking in there.
I mean,
it's a lot easier when you have Kyle McNally on the move. I'm just going to put it out there, especially from a horizontally challenged guy like myself. It's nice to have a Kyle McNally at the rim.
I think, and I don't know whether it was necessarily true, but I think I can remember this vividly. Bridger said to me one time, he said, sometimes I just let guys go by me because I know they get run into Kyle.
Well, and the film would support that, Kyle. The film.
Good way to do it, huh? You don't want to get in foul trouble. You just send them Kyle's way.
So this was the first year of our Joker theory defense. And Bubba can attest to later on in his coaching career telling me in staff meetings, Kip, we keep funneling it. Kyle's not back there anymore, man. It doesn't work unless there's a shot blocker.
I did say that my first year of coaching. So it's not as effective when you don't have that back there.
Right? It's not quite the same. So now let's jump through here. Let me go back. I'll stop this and go back to the schedule because I thought we played really well down the stretch. We lost a Tuesday night game to freaking Lewis and Clark that was like, okay, now we can't really get jumped up to third. Let me bring my share window to the front.
Couldn't believe that score when I saw it just now. I don't even remember that.
I remember that game. I remember that game. It was brutal, man.
Actually, no. Never mind. I remember.
So we go to freaking Lewis, and we go the last weekend of the season. We got to win 1, right? Did we know it had to be Pacific? Because Linfield was on the road, right?
Yeah, I think at that point too, before the Linfield game, we already knew that Pacific was it was winner advance.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Pacific won a Tuesday game that last week that guaranteed they'd be at 8 wins.
Mm-hmm.
We were at 7 going in, and we knew like we're going to have to beat them irregardless. Now we wanted to beat Linfield because I remember us being pretty upset after the game. But 2 things I wanted to make sure I brought up, and I got a couple images for these. We had done the senior banquet, right? Every year we do a senior breakfast banquet. And the unique part about this one, and I'll bring it up. One, do you remember the story of me and Willis getting there in the morning super early, not just to set up the senior banquet, but also we got to get working on the Pacific game plan and the damn bum in the gym of Cone Fieldhouse?
I do not.
So we walk in the back doors before they took away my master key to the back entrances of Cone Fieldhouse. And it's pitch dark. Willis and I are side by side walking through the pitch dark. And suddenly there is a cough to our left in the darkness. And before I can even snap my head to look over, Willis has left me to the monster and sprinted out of the front entrance of Sparks. And he turns on the light, and there happens to be a homeless person had spent the night like a Holiday Inn in Cone Fieldhouse, sleeping in the 3rd row. And I went over to him after I assessed that he couldn't kill me. And I was like, sir, this isn't a hotel. You can't stay here. And he just got up and walked out like it was nobody's business. I didn't know if that was a good omen for us or a bad omen. But I do remember, Kyle, your speech. So here we are at that senior breakfast. And I do remember you were the last one to talk. And you said, the good thing is we're not done. Let's go finish this right. And I thought that was a great launch pad for the day because we were a little down from losing. We all knew the magnitude of the game that night, but I thought that was a great kind of launch into the day. What do you guys remember the lead up to basically what was a playoff game?
Go ahead.
I think excitement for me, I mean, hearing all the seniors speak, before in the little banquet that we did have, I think Kyle hit it right on the money from what I remember, and hearing Joe, Robbie, all those guys, T. Smith talking about their careers at Willamette, we just really wanted to go get a win for them and make the playoffs for the first time since they had been there. So for me, it was definitely excitement going into the game, and it was something we were looking forward to for sure.
Was there nerves, resolve? What was there, Bridge, Kyle? What was the feeling? I know as a staff, we can lose ourselves in just the prep, so you don't really have time for nerves because you're just getting plans ready. What about as a player sitting around all day waiting for it?
I don't remember a lot of nerves. I remember being really excited for this one. It was at home, and it was also senior night, so there was just a lot to be excited for already.
Yeah.
And we felt pretty – I mean, Kyle at that time was like 1 or 2 or 3 – like top 5 shot blockers in the nation. Bubba was like round 2 of – I forget the name of player of the year voting. So there was some clout. We had confidence going into that game for sure.
Well, hey, there's the lock stick, by the way, that I was describing. I'm holding it up there. People are looking like, what are you doing, you lunatic? So, hey, let's get to that. Speaking of which, do you guys remember – I don't remember there being any doubt that we were going to start all seniors, even though that wasn't our regular starting lineup. I don't remember there being any discussion like we shouldn't do that because of the magnitude of the game. And I do remember Robbie Gibbs getting a bucket for us.
We do play for Robbie, yeah.
So, no, you asked us. You did ask us,
okay.
I think, as captains. And, it was unanimous. We were going to start those guys. And it's coming back to me. I think we drew up a play for every senior, and I think we got 3 out of 4. Robbie was that back door on the baseline, and he went up and it went in. I think we had a lob for Kyle. I don't think we got the lob, but I think we scored on the play.
Yeah.
Drew up a 3 for Joe Jack, and then I think we did some sort of like turn play for T. Smith.
Yeah.
But I think they were all ended up being really effective, and I think we ended up starting the game like 8-2, 10-2.
Oh yeah, I'll show
like
you the score. So, do you guys know who took this photo over here?
It was probably oh man.
You remember her name?
Oh man.
It was Joe Jack's friend.
Yes. She still comes to games. She still takes pictures for certain players. Nisha. Shout out to Nisha. But this is that night. So this was a cool pick of that night. And these, the seniors got to go out. I want to show you guys the game plan and see if you can remember some. This is, Bubs, before we had, this is our old version. I'll bring it up of what a game. It's on Microsoft Word, for God's sake. Now, fellas, we got it. It goes to their phone so they don't throw it away. But here is the game plan. Okay, so let me scroll down. So here's some names: Kobe Proctor, Grandinetti, Ahern, Burgess, Wettig. Okay.
What was cool for me was Kobe was on my AAU team for a couple of years when we were 14 and 15 years old.
Was he the kid from Staten?
Yeah, he was the kid.
Okay.
And so for that, I mean, not to jump ahead to the game, but that was one of the biggest bittersweet things about the game was talking. I mean, we were good friends and talking after the game. I mean, it was his last game as a senior too.
Right.
It was cool during the game to match up against him. And did they have Eric Moore on the roster?
I think Eric Moore was on the roster. Yeah. He's a South Salem kid, right?
They didn't give him burn. I never understood that, but I remember all those names. I mean, Wettig was their guy.
Yep.
And he's a good player. And
shooters too.
Yeah.
I remember his stat line from the game, but I think we did a pretty good job.
Do you remember battling with Pouncey? That's a lot of weight thrown around there.
I do now. Pacific always had those types of guys.
Yes. Tim Cleary was the coach. Yeah. They were so physical. So you guys remember the flip charts? Red, yellow, green for how many BS nonsense actions they were going to do before you had to guard the real thing?
Yeah, that's right.
They were so good at. Now, let me ask you this. Do you remember any of these concepts? We still run Michigan. Corner kind of went, and Bubba, you said this to me in staff meetings in the past. Corner worked when Kyle passed it. It hasn't worked since, Kip.
You know what's funny about that is I've tried to run styles of that offense in the last few years that I've been coaching. It's like it actually doesn't work unless you have somebody that can pass the ball at that position, which at the lower levels you never do. But yeah.
Rich, any of these words and combos, do you remember them? Where'd you get the buckets from?
I know corner, I believe. I could run corner today, I think. I don't remember Michigan or 40 though.
Michigan was our zone offense, if I remember correctly.
Right? They were going to play a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, if I got that right. And then 40, I think 40 was a late install, like maybe 5-6 games before, and it ended up working really well for us, so we kept it.
Right.
I think I might be a few games off, but I don't remember the concept. But I do remember, hearing yourself and Willis yelling 40 all the time from the sideline. So
you guys remember 10 versus ball screens?
Trap.
Yep, good. We're still doing that. We're still okay. Let me get to the game. I'll get to the box score. And Bubs, you're right. We did start the game off, senior group and everybody that got in. We started off hot.
The biggest play I remember from that early game was Bubba was right. We scored on a bunch of those early buckets, like for the plays that we were going to run. And then I think it was Robbie. Somehow me and Robbie got a steal, like off of a made bucket. They inbounded the ball, I think. And I don't know if it was me and Robbie or Joe and Robbie. And we somehow got the ball, and either me or Robbie laid it up. And they called a timeout. And I was like, okay, we're going to the playoffs. 3 minutes into the game, I was like, we got them now.
I think we started off, we're at 15-3. And Bridge, you had a 4-point play, and you made it. You made the free throw.
Wow.
And that you had a lot of opportunities for those. Quite a few. But this one, when it mattered, we got it from you. So we go up 15-3. We're up at halftime by 4. I think we led the whole time. I have the box score.
Yeah, we did. I think they did cut it close at a few points throughout the game, but I remember thinking that entire game that there was no way we were losing it. It felt like it was in our hands the entire time.
Right. I'm not sure. Nowadays, they tell you how many minutes a team led. But here's the box from the game. Bubs, you give us 18 and 11. Nico had a big game. Kyle, 10 boards, 4 blocks.
What's the game, Joe Jack? Came down. I think it was Hayden, big three. That really.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had a big three going into the end of the first half that, I think he had taken it. They cut the lead, and I think it was either him and Bridger hit a couple back-to-back threes that really, put us in a good position going into halftime.
I don't think it was me. I had a tough game, yeah. I remember
it was Nico. I can remember both.
Nico? Might have been Nico.
Vividly. Like, I even think I maybe assisted him on both of them, because I remember, like, they were either late in the shot clock or off an O board. And one of them was deep, like 25 feet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might be this one here. Troplin with 6:20 left, put us up.
That was big.
Do you guys – I remember on the bench, the article write-up, there's a lot more free throws in the final minute than I remember, because I remember celebrating on the bench with each guy going down the line and action was happening. And I remember that, but it seems like it might have been a little bit closer. Maybe I got a little bit ahead of myself. But I know, Bridge, you went 2 for 2 with 14 seconds left. Joe went 2 for 2 with 15 seconds left. So that part, but I want to show you guys this. What else from the game as I'm finding this next part? Anything else from that game? Kyle, you had a lot of confidence in it. Anybody else remember any swings or things happening? We had a great crowd.
The crowd was great that game. I was just going to say that. The crowd was great that game.
Yeah.
I think too that what I'm starting to remember again is I think Nico, every time they had gotten it close, Nico hit a big three. And he was shooting really deep threes that game. Nico played really well. And like Bridger and Kyle just said, that the crowd was pretty great. It was a lot of fun to play in for sure.
And Kyle, similar to you, like Tim Cleary is one of my good friends in coaching. So it was obviously both of us wanted to win the game and beat the hell out of the other one, but it was tough. I wanted to make sure I shook his hand first before I joined the massive mob, as you can see in here, which is still one of my favorite pictures and moments from that celebration afterwards. But it was not bittersweet for me, but just like, hey, I want to make sure I take care of my friend real quick. Then I'm going to go have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the mob? Do you remember this? I remember the post-game celebration in the team room. What parts stand out from when we got the W?
What was really cool for me was, growing up there, I had a lot of family there. I had buddies that were in town that came to the game. I had high school coaches that were there. I had a lot of my family there because it was my senior night. So it was just kind of a culmination of a lot of things. And what was actually funny is, and the same thing with you, Kip. You've been in Salem for a long time, so you had a lot of people there too, and everybody went down to the locker room, and you and I were up there talking and celebrating, taking pictures with our respective groups, and then we were like, oh, we probably should go down.
That's right.
And
Bubs.
Go ahead, Bridge.
Man, it was a great night, man. I don't wish I remembered more, man. I just remember being like so happy because we had this goal to make a playoff spot, and then to have the loss to Linfield the night before, and then at the same time, like, you're going into every game now thinking, okay, this could be the last game I play with some of my best friends, Kyle, T. Smith, Robbie, Joe Jack, these guys who I've been with for 4 years. I want to leave it all out there for them, and just to give them another game was big, was everything at that point, and that was really cool.
Bubs?
I think the 20 minutes after the game, I don't really remember much. It was kind of just pure joy to the point where I don't even remember what was said. I don't remember where we were talking. I just remember how happy everybody was, and we were just enjoying the moment. Getting the win, going to the playoffs, seniors get to play another game. I think that's kind of what stands out to me is just I remember the feeling. I don't remember the details. But,
I would agree with you guys. I don't really, and don't get me wrong, we went to Spokane the next week with every intention of trying to keep going and win. I don't really remember much of it, and I'm not mad about that. You know what I mean? This is more of the memory rather than the loss in the semis.
And that was kind of the other cool thing about this game was like, yeah, it was a lot of like, I mean, yeah, it was a lot of weight lifted off our shoulders for everybody, coaching staff, players. Like, I mean, it wasn't exactly a lot of success before that.
Right.
So, but we knew we were capable was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the most frustrating thing. We knew that we were capable. We knew we were good players, and we finally got it done. So it was a big weight lift. But then on top of that, we battled with Whitworth 2 times earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And we were like, and that was, I think we talked about it after the game. We were like, look, this is great, but like, we can beat these dudes next week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was no doubt in my mind we were going to go up there and give those guys a run for their money. So that was kind of the cooler thing for me.
Bridge, Bubs.
You know, I kind of piggybacking off of what Kyle said. I remember the prep for the Whitworth game, and I remember, you know, feeling confident about our chances. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way. But you know, when you think about the end of the season, kind of going back to what you said, Kip, you know, this is what I think about. I think about the win over Pacific. I think about, you know, the season itself and how we started and how we got to where we finished. The Whitworth game itself, I mean, yeah, we would have loved to win that and, you know, keep going, but that's not where my mind goes when I think about the season. I think about, you know, this picture and everything that came before it.
Yeah.
Bridge.
Yeah. Well, I just think about, man, it was just so sweet to be picked last, to come all this way, all the, you know, everything we went through during the season, and to earn that final spot on the last night on this guy's last potential game was everything. And then, you know, we had serious talks. Like, I'm so glad we got Whitworth instead of Whitman. We match up so much better. I remember all those talks, and like we fully believed. But I'll always remember this night, man. This feeling right here when we won. I recognize so many of the faces. It's bringing back a lot of memories right now with all those guys just in Gowdy or around the campus or whatever. But it's a pretty special night.
I think the thing I'll wrap up with is, from this team, your guys' starting group, you three, B and Nico, all 5 of you guys are legacy wall guys for us. So I think the standard that you guys set with this group, you know, it's carried on through, and it's kind of the model that we try to get the guys currently to, you know, to strive to attain. And, you know, we haven't been able to get it done in that regard, but I think the way guys behave, the way that they act as humans, and the dedication to the program has been something you guys did a great job of setting in stone. So appreciate you guys. This was awesome. Getting to go down memory lane a little bit. If I do ever find that DVD, we will get it at a place and have some beverages and watch it and see some of your. I of course, Bridger fell down for a 4-point play. Of course he did. Bubba probably spun for sure. Kyle swing step, shot a jumper from the elbow. I mean, these things all happen. So
The poke steal on the post-ups.
What's that?
I said the poke steal on the post-ups.
Of course. Of course.
Hey, Bridger falling down at least every other game on a 3-point attempt.